Hello and welcome to a number talk. Today we are using our mental math to solve this expression 25 times 6. That means no paper, no pencil. In a number talk, what we do is we try to solve an expression and then we think about the strategy that we used to figure it out, and then we learn some new strategies to find different ways to solve this expression. So before we go any further, go ahead and pause the video, figure out what is 25 times 6, and then think about the strategy you used, unpause the video, and we will see if I picked your strategy. So there are many different ways that we can solve 25 times 6. One of the first ways I want to show you is the distributive property. What that does is that says we can take one of our factors here. So in this case, we're going to take our 6 and we're going to cut it in half. We're going to say 25, instead of times 6, we're going to say it's really 3 plus 3. And then we multiply, or we distribute the other factor into both of those addends. So watch this. I'm going to take my 25. I'm going to multiply it, instead of by 6, I'm going to multiply it by 3. That's easy. That's 75. Think of 3/4, 75 cents. Then I'm going to add the other partial product here of 75, and hopefully I got what you got, 150. 25 times 6 is 150. There's another way we could use distributive property, and instead of breaking up that 6, we're going to go ahead and break up the 25 using place values. So some of you might have done this, 20 plus 5. So think of expanded form. That's what 25 is in expanded form. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to distribute this 6 and multiply it by both addends, come up with some partial products, and add those together. So I've got 20 times this 6. That's going to get me 120. Then I'm going to add the product of 5 times this 6. That's going to get me 30. So 120 and 30, same answer. Going to get 150. There's another cool way we can double and half. So some of us might not be familiar with doubling and halving. What this does is this lets us take one factor and double it. So in this case, I'm going to take my 50 right here because I took my 25 and I doubled it. So now, instead of my 25, I got my 50. So 50 is easy for me to multiply with. So I doubled my 25 to get to 50, but in order to keep a balanced expression, if I double one, I've got to halve the other. So I'm going to take my 6, and I'm going to cut it in half and make it 3. So that's why you've got this gray box down here. I doubled my 25, I took half of my 6, 50 times 3, 50, 100, 150. Same answer. Doubling and halving doesn't always work, but when it does, it usually makes it super easy. We can also use the associative property. So the associative property is the grouping property. So what we have here is we've got 25 times 6. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what, let's break up this 25 into prime factors. Let's do 5 times 5. So I've got 5 times 5 times 6. The associative property works when you have 3 or more factors. If you use it with addition, you need 3 or more addends. All we're doing is we're shifting the groups. I'm going to shift my parentheses over. You notice how I kept the same 3 factors, 5 times 5 times 6. I just shifted the parentheses. So now look what I have. I have 5 groups of 5 groups of 6. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my 5 groups of 6. Those are my 5 columns. And each of these groups of 6 are 30. So I've just got 5 30s to think of, because here are my 5 groups of 5 groups of 6. 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, once again. Another way is if we use the associative property again, and this time, let's take our 25 times 6. Instead of breaking up the 25, let's break down the 6 into prime factors. So we're going to do 25 times 6 is 3 times 2. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to shift our parentheses here, and I want 25 groups of 3 times 2. Now, that's the associative property, so I kept everything the same. I just shifted the groups. The commutative property is something we use all the time. We might not know it, but it's the order property. I want to flip the order here. I want 2 groups of 25 times 3. But you know what? 25 times 3 means I need 25 groups of 3. I really don't want to draw 25 groups of 3. So I'm going to use the commutative property again, double commutative. I'm going to say 2 groups of 3 groups of 25. Now that's what I have pictured here, and that's pretty simple. So I've got 1, 2, 3 groups of 25. In each of these rows, I am going to have 75. And I've got 2 full rows, so look at that, 75, 75, 150 once again. So those are just a few of the ways that you can use mental math to solve 25 times 6. If you found another way, that is fantastic. Go ahead and drop that as a comment on the video. Teachers, if you would like a copy of this slide deck for yourself, you can find it on my website, 5minutemath.net.